Greetings everyone. I will be discussing about the preparedness for adult BCG vaccination campaign, including microplanning under the standard operating procedures for adult BCG vaccination under the programmatic implementation study in India. So by the end of this session, we will know about how the preparedness for adult BCG vaccination campaign will be done, and we will learn about microplanning in detail, starting from the headcount survey, then identification of the adult BCG vaccination session sites, how the human resource planning will be done, what will be the duration of session, vaccine and logistic planning, flow of beneficiaries at the adult BCG vaccination session site, what all communication materials will be needed at the session site, how community engagement and mobilization will be done, what will be the role of TB champion, management of biomedical waste, management of adverse event following immunization, and how the monitoring and supervision will be done. So, as many of us must have seen this in articles and social media regarding the adult BCG vaccination which is going to be conducted in India. So, but first, we need to understand why do we need adult BCG vaccination in India? So, as we know that India has the largest global burden of tuberculosis. In 2021, there were an estimated 2.9 million cases and 506,000 deaths, representing approximately 30% of the total global deaths, which was contributed by India alone. So, the National Tuberculosis Elimination Program, earlier known as the Revised National Tuberculosis Control Program, aims to strategically achieve the Sustainable Development Goal 2030 target in India by 2025, that is 5 years ahead of the global SDG targets, which is to achieve 80% reduction in the TB incidence rate by 2025 against the baseline of 2015 and 90% reduction in the TB mortality rate by 2025 against the baseline of 2015. But till now, all NTP interventions have cumulatively resulted in just around 2% annual rate of decline in TB incidence in India, whereas we need around 17% decline in the TB incidence per year in India to achieve the global SDG 2030 target. Hence, there was a perceived need for an effective TB vaccine. Uh, so the focus has shifted to BCG with potential benefits of BCG revaccination or boosting beyond the pediatric age group. So the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, Government of India, is planning to conduct a program implementation research study of BCG vaccination in adults in close collaboration with Indian Council of Medical Research and Department of Health Research. And the letter and the study protocol was sent to all the states and union territories seeking their consent to participate in the study. And finally, 23 states and union territories have consented to participate in the study. So we will see how the preparedness for this adult BCG vaccination campaign will be done and how the microplanning will be done. So first we have something called as the state and district campaign preparedness assessment checklist. So this checklist basically helps us to identify and assess the strengths and weaknesses at the state, district and block level to take corrective actions for the effective and successful implementation of this adult BCG vaccination in a campaign mode. So for that, the state immunization officer and the state TB officer, they will first jointly review and fill in the required details. Then the district immunization officer and the district TB officer of the 547 intervention districts, they will jointly review the preparedness and submit the information as per checklist. After that, all the intervention districts, they will have to submit their field checklist to the states and union territories within 1 week of receipt of the district preparedness checklist. And finally, all the consented states have to submit their field checklist to the Central TB Division and the Immunization Division within 1 week of receipt of the state assessment checklist. So once all this data is collected, then it will be reviewed at the state and the national level teams, and monitors will visit the specified geographies for validation and to take corrective actions if required. So this will be followed by the microplanning. So what is microplanning? Now microplanning is a tool which health workers use to ensure that immunization services reaches every district. Microplanning helps us to identify the priority communities to address the barriers and to develop a work plan for solutions. So this microplanning for adult BCG vaccination campaign will be first top down, which means that the tentative list of the various cohorts of beneficiaries, which will include the past history of TB patients and close contacts of the active TB cases, that will be shared from the district level, which will be followed by a bottom-up approach wherein the immunization and the NTEP team at the sub-district level, they will validate the list which was shared by the district team, tuberculosis unit or the public health institute. Now, this will be followed by the headcount survey. So, the objective of the headcount survey is to cover the entire population and to list out eligible beneficiaries. So, the state TB center, district TB center, they will share a list of eligible beneficiaries such as community-based assessment checklist survey and the NICTPG line list to this frontline workers like ASHA. And then this frontline workers like ASHA, they will have to validate this eligibility list of eligible beneficiaries through headcount survey, taking into account the eligibility criteria. So the ASHA will prepare an area-wise eligibility line list, which she will have to submit to the ANM or the community health officer. And also the ASHA, while doing the headcount survey, she will ask the beneficiaries to bring the photo ID card at the vaccination session site for validation, and she will also do the pre-registration of the eligible beneficiaries in the TB-Win portal. So this is a snapshot of the TB-Win Hamara portal. So there are three modules, and this mobilizer module which will be used by the frontline workers. And this is the snapshot of the pre-registration portal in the TB-Win. So this will be followed by the house marking for the headcount survey. So the ASHA will do the house marking for a headcount survey. So this circle indicates the presence of eligible beneficiaries. AB indicates the headcount survey for adult BCG vaccination. This 28 indicates the house number. It can be any number. And this arrow that indicates the direction of the house-to-house survey. And the date on which the house-to-house survey was conducted will be mentioned. Now, after that, a supervision team will visit and validate the areas and households to ensure that the headcount survey was done properly by the frontline workers. And they will have to repeat the survey if it is found that more than equal to 3 consecutive households were not visited for survey, or more than equal to 2 consecutive households had eligible beneficiaries but they were not enlisted in the survey. Also, one thing that we should remember that this how headcount survey will be conducted for 15 days for a particular area. Taking into account and ensuring that 25 to 30 households are covered each day. This will be followed by the identification of the adult BCG vaccination session sites. So the session sites will be set up at the same locations as that of the routine immunization session site to increase the community acceptance. And this will be conducted on non-routine immunization days and the non-intensified mission Indradhanush days to ensure that uninterrupted routine immunization services are provided to children and pregnant women. And each session will be planned for maximum up to 70 beneficiaries per session, but additional vaccination up to 150 per session could be arranged subject to local resources, availability of resources and local requirements. And mobile teams or additional session sites will be made for hard to reach areas or the unserved or underserved areas. And periodicity of follow-up will be monthly during the first 3 months after vaccination and quarterly post initial 3 months until 36 months from the date of vaccination. Now, it will be the responsibility of the vaccinator at the session site to provide the beneficiary with 4 key messages post-vaccination. First, which vaccine was given and which disease it can prevent. Second, how and when wellness follow-up should be taken. Third, what are the minor side effects and how to deal with them. And fourth, where and whom to approach if any serious side effects are observed. Now, coming to the human resource planning. So, each vaccination session site will have a team consisting of a vaccinator, which will be a community health officer or an ANM, and this vaccinator will be allotted by the health facility manager. In addition to this, there will be ASHA, Anganwadi worker, and the TB champion or link worker. Now, this TB champion is a person who had previously suffered from TB, but now but has successfully completed the treatment. So as a survivor, he acts as a role model to the currently affected TB patients and their families. So the role of the ASHA, Anganwadi worker, TB champion or link worker will be to do the ID card verification at the session site. They will take the height and weight measurement to calculate the BMI, then data verification, seeking consent, and they will ensure that the beneficiaries are kept under observation post vaccination for 30 minutes. Also, these vaccination sessions will be conducted for maximum 3 months in camping mode on non-routine immunization days and non-intensified mission in the Dhanush days. And eligible population will be covered within first month of the camping itself, and the next 2 months will be used for mop-up rounds in which the remaining beneficiaries will be vaccinated. So, what will be the duration of the session? So, the duration of the session will be from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. But it is the timings are flexible and subject to local requirements. And initially at the session site, the registration of the beneficiaries will be done in the TBWin portal. Also, the consent taking will be done for the beneficiaries by the ASHA, Anganwadi worker, TB champion or link worker. And later at the end of the session, the vaccinator will close the session online in the TBWin portal. Also, the ANM will should stay back at least for an hour after the vaccination of the last beneficiary to report any case of adverse events following immunization and to do the other paperwork. So this is a snapshot of the consent for the adult BCG vaccination, and this is how it will look in vaccination session site in the NICSHA portal. And at the end of the session, the beneficiary will be provided with a e-certificate. So, as we have seen, I will just summarize what will be the flow of beneficiaries at the adult BCG vaccination session site. So, from the entry, there will be verification of beneficiaries' details and consent seeking first by the ASHA, Anganwadi worker, TB champion or link worker, which will be followed by the adult BCG vaccination, which will be given by the vaccinator, who can be an ANM or community health officer, and they will administer 0.1 ml dose of BCG intradermally in the right upper arm to the beneficiary. And later, the vaccinator post vaccination will deliver 4 key messages that we have discussed earlier, and they will ask the beneficiary to stay for at least 30 minutes post vaccination, and after 30 minutes of observation, they will get the e-certificate. So coming to the vaccine and logistic planning. So all the cold chain handlers in the state vaccine store, regional vaccine store and district vaccine store, and also the cold chain point, they will ensure that a dedicated ice-line refrigerator is earmarked for the adult BCG vaccination, and dedicated racks in the walk-in coolers will be identified and labeled for adult BCG vaccination campaign. Also, it must be ensured that the BCG vial is kept above the measles rubella vaccine, and a dedicated dry space will be identified for keeping the diluent ampoules, 0.1 ml AD syringes and reconstitution syringes. Also, it must be ensured that the diluent ampoules are kept in the Iceland refrigerator at least 24 hours before vaccination to ensure that its temperature matches with the BCG vaccine after reconstitution to avoid any thermal shocks. So what will be the requirement of the adult BCG vaccine and diluents? So the number of the adult BCG doses needed will be equal to the target for adult BCG multiplied by 1.11 vaccine wastage multiplication factor. So this wastage multiplication factor takes into account the wastage, mixing, or any other factors which hampers the vaccine administration. So this wastage multiplication factor is calculated by the formula 100 minus 100 divided by 100 minus the vaccine wastage rate. So for this program implementation research study, the estimated vaccine wastage is taken to be 10%. So 100 divided by 100 minus 10 is equal to 1.11. So that's how we arrived at 1.11 wastage multiplication factor. Also, the number of the adult BCG vials required will be equal to the adult BCG doses divided by 10 for a vial containing 10 doses, and the number of adult BCG diluent ampoules required will be equal to the adult BCG vials. Total 0.1 ml AD syringes required will be same as the adult BCG doses in number, and the total disposable reconstitution syringes required will be equal to adult BCG vials multiplied by the 1.11 wastage multiplication factor. And daily ice pack requirement will be equal to the number of daily sessions multiplied by 8 ice packs. So what we can see in the figure, that we know that BCG vaccine is heat and light sensitive, so it must be kept in the hole provided in the conditioned ice pack at the session site, and the vaccine vial monitor should be checked before opening the vial. The VVM for BCG vaccine is basically placed in the cap of the vial, and as we know that open vial policy is not applicable for the BCG vaccine, so it must be used within 4 hours after reconstitution. And all the partially used vaccines or the empty vials, they must be sent back to the cold chain point at the end of the session, and should be kept stored in the Iceland refrigerators separately in separate section, and should be marked as not to be used open adult BCG vials. And these vials will be discarded after 48 hours, take care, not before. And if in case of any reported AEFI, these vials won't be discarded and will be kept for further investigation. So now coming to the communication materials at the session site. So we need a dedicated adult BCG vaccination IC material which will be displayed at the session site. IC is information, education and communication material. So this is a broad term. IC stands for community mobilization through information, then awareness and action through education, and sustaining the behavior change through communication. So we need various IEC materials which will be displayed at the session sites, and community engagement and mobilization will be done in all the 3 phases of this program implementation research study, from the preparatory phase to the implementation phase and the post implementation phase, through engagement with community leaders, influencers, mobilizers, Panchayati Raj Institute members, TB champions about BCG vaccination and infection prevention measures. So this app can be used as one of the IC material at the session site. This TB Arogya Sathi app was an initiative which was launched by Central TB Division Government of India, and it provides the citizens with access to frequently asked questions on TB, the signs and symptoms of TB, and the side effects of the TB drugs, as well as it has a section for tracking the drug adherence for the patients. Now coming to the biomedical waste management. So biomedical waste management is divided in 2 sections, at the session site and at the cold chain point. So at the session site, the vaccinator will cut the hub of the needle AD syringe with the hub cutter, and will dispose it in the puncture proof bag, and which will be later sent to the cold chain point for disinfection in 1% hypochlorite solution for 30 minutes, and which will be later disposed of in the shaft disposal pit. The plastic part of the syringe will be disposed of in the red bag, and which will be later like sent to cold chain point for disinfection in 1% hypochlorite solution for 30 minutes, and later it will be sent for recycling. And this needle cap or wrappers will be disposed of in the black bag, which will be later disposed of as municipal waste. Also, we must remember that the cotton swab which will be used at the immunization site will be disposed of in the yellow bag. Now coming to the adverse event following immunization. So what is AEFI? AEFI, we know it is any untoward medical occurrence following immunization, and which does not necessarily have a causal relationship with the use of the vaccine. So there can be many AEFIs related with BCG vaccination, like injection site reaction, disseminated BCG infection, suppurative lymphadenitis, immune reconstitution, inflammatory syndrome, anaphylaxis, anaphylactic reaction, etc. So as a vaccinator, they must ensure that they must know how to manage the AEFI at the session site. So at the session site, the vaccinator must ensure that the recipients wait for 30 minutes at session site after vaccination, and they should do close monitoring of the patient beneficiary. And they can advise paracetamol tablets for mild to moderate fever, mild fatigue, and malaise, and they should ask the beneficiary to visit the nearest health facility if minor adverse events persist beyond 2 to 3 days. Now, the in case of any suspected case of anaphylaxis, the anaphylaxis kit with injection adrenaline 0.5 ml 1:1000 solution should be available at the session site, and the medical officer should also administer injection hydrocortisone IM or slow IV. And immediate transportation services should be made available to the beneficiary in case of any AEFI to the nearest AEFI management centers or nearest higher care facility. So this is how the reporting of AFI cases will be done in the TB Win SafeVac portal. So SafeVac stands for Surveillance and Actions Following Vaccination. And so first, when the vaccinator or medical officer they detect any AFI, so they will report it to the district immunization officer. Now it will be the responsibility of the district AFI committee to investigate and make the case reporting form and case investigation form within 10 days of notification of this reported AFI cases. Now later, it will be the responsibility of the state AFI committee to do the causality assessments and causality assessment within 100 days of notification of this cases reported AFIs from the district. Now this is a snapshot of the SafeVac portal. And now coming to the end, we will see how the why do we need monitoring and supervision, what will be the role of the monitoring and supervision in this campaign. So monitoring and supervision is needed first to ensure quality of care is being provided with safety. Second, to ensure that no consented eligible beneficiary is left out and no vaccination is given without consent. For 3 to 5 session sites, a supervisor will be deployed for close supervision at the session site. And besides the national and state supervisors, district and block level supervisors will be included, which will include the team consisting of senior treatment supervisor, TB health visitor, lady health visitor, a public health nurse, and the community health officers. Thank you.